And a last deck choice, a deck list choice that I want to point out in Dominic's sideboard also is a card called Paradox Haze. Have you seen this card?
I have. I've played against that card. It's a weird one.
It's a weird one. I like that card. It's just it's been sitting in my like spicy want to try it eventually stack for a while now, and I just like it. I like that fractals made their way to Legacy.
Yeah, for sure. Really, really odd, but it is a powerful effect. And the fact that it happens on your end step is really meaningful because you can get the value right away.
Okay, so I'm assuming Needle would be on Salvagers here.
I would think so, but Karn is also a pretty reasonable choice.
Yeah.
But Salvagers makes the most sense to me offhand.
Yeah. Let's see if the players indicate to us which it was. If anything, I could just join their call real quick. Should I do that and ask?
Yeah, it might be reasonable. It's going to kind of change.
All right. Be right back.
And then I'm going to have effects during your upkeep.
Sorry, guys. What's the Needle on?
Auriok Salvagers.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay. A little bit awkward, but it was Auriok Salvagers.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think that's the logical choice. Karn's obviously really powerful, but
yeah,
I think you have to go for that.
Yep.
Okay, so they're doing that in an interesting way, but drawing an Emrakul with Demetrius Bauble.
Yep.
So I have heard, I have been busy, but I have been, keeping my ear to the ground. I've heard that people love when we talk about bagels on this channel. And I am aware that there has been a cream cheese shortage in New York City. So has it been directly influencing, the New York City lifestyle?
Maybe it hasn't affected me, and it's not my fault. I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm just doing the tofu cream cheese.
Oh, okay.
So
it would be my fault.
It wasn't me.
It would be my fault. So actually, maybe it is my fault. I was in the city a month ago, and I got 8 bagels every day I was there. So you know what? Maybe I'm really directly influencing it.
Yeah. Well, the way the bagels thing all started was and all right, we have to get your take on this actually, because you're like at the halfway point geographically. Okay. New York City bagels versus Montreal bagels is how it all started, and you now have to give your opinion.
Okay, so New York City bagels are unbelievable. I think as somebody who lives in I've always lived in kind of like the middle part of New York.
Right.
There are good bagels here, but every time I go to the city, it's kind of blowing that out of the water. New York City, not only is there just a larger sample size because there's so many bagels, but just the average bagel is just far better overall. I've been to Montreal a few times, but I've actually never had a bagel there. Okay. So but they do have some pretty dope food, if I'm honest. But I'm pretty willing to say that New York City, I'll just go out on a limb. The official Rich Cali take, New York City bagels better than Montreal bagels, even though I've never tried them. Official take.
All right, take that, Montreal. There you go. So it started with that, and then the rest of the story is a YouTube commenter wrote a comment.
Oh, of course
this commentator sucks, talking about me. And I responded, he will be fired. And then they wrote, all he's doing is talking about bagels.
That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing. What a moron.
That's the backstory on that. So,
moron. And there's really no better place to take constructive, interesting criticism than YouTube comments. They really have a really wide breadth of perspectives that really always capture the nuance of every situation, and just really understand the core issues that are being discussed. So, you really do have to fire that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I give it to credit where credit is due, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's just so funny. All right. So, Green Sun Zenith on 3, is it?
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay. So, what's the target here? Ramanap, maybe? Or
Ramanap's the most logical. And I don't know what else you're getting out of it, because Endurance isn't really going to do much here.
No.
Reclamation Sage. Reclamation Sage.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
That's a good target, for sure.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, so Intuition. Man, this Bomberman list is full of surprises. Interesting. So I would assume that the Sage is targeting the Saga. That makes the most sense to me. And I guess if it was for 3, the Esper Sentinel got to draw a card, which is actually pretty meaningful, I think. Teferi. So I guess just 3 Teferis to enter the needle. It's only a temporary answer though. So.
Wait, they go to the graveyard, right?
1 goes to your hand, the other 2 in the graveyard.
Oh shoot, yeah. Why am I thinking it's buried alive? Okay, just a brain fart there. All right, yeah, exactly. It goes to hand. Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, that's cool. This doesn't seem like the most powerful use of the card. But I would assume, to me, this tells me that the Bomberman player doesn't have a Soul Land in hand, because otherwise I would just get 3 cards. Because whatever strategy you're going to do is probably better when you have a card in play.
Right.
So yeah, looks like another just land that taps 1 mana to play Teferi. Probably plussing this turn would be my guess, because bouncing anything doesn't make a lot of sense here.
No.
And then holding back the Esper Sentinel to block the Reclamation Sage. That makes a lot of sense.
So if Dominic plays a Cloudpost that's 6, 7, 8 mana, we're already. I think this is turn 3 or maybe turn 4. We're already in range of Emrakul like really soon.
We're getting there for sure. Dark Depths, okay.
Okay, Dark Depths.
So this is probably a Titan.
Yeah.
This is good, but in my mind, you don't intuition for 3 Teferis unless you really care about the Pithing Needle. If you care about the Pithing Needle, that means that there's a decent chance that you can just bounce it next turn, go Salvager's LED, and go for the kill.
Yeah.
In some variety. You can draw your deck with Mishra's Bauble or do whatever it is you're going to do. And the fact that this Primetime Resolve then didn't get Glacial Chasm means Walking Ballista is also an out here. And somebody in chat, I knew this was going to come at some point, is asking how the Teferi was cast. That's an Azorius Signet between the 2 caverns. So that gave the blue-white mana to cast that. So this is the window for sure that Bomberman needs to combo, but there's not an unreasonable chance to go for it here.
Yeah, I mean, you're not bouncing Titan.
Yeah.
You're not going to wait for Merit Lage. That's not going to be an option you have. If you went for the Teferi, like you said, it's probably to allow the combo.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Especially because Emrakul's coming down next turn. So you kind of got to put your foot to the floor here and just try to end the game, because there's no way you're going to get to play another turn, no matter how you slice this otherwise.
Right.
But without an LED, it's certainly going to be tough. Plussing Teferi.
Interesting.
Into Signet. Okay.
Signet doesn't...
Fateful Absence on the Titan, but you're still just going to die to the Emrakul that you know about because you saw Mishra's Bauble.
Yeah. Let's see if Dominic has a clue token. Nope.
That's no clues. I mean, if only they opened up the Mariah Carey booster pack today, then they'd be ready to go.
It's true. I guess I have to keep these Mariah Carey cards in my deck boxes from now on, right? I mean,
definitely.
Okay.
They're going to be calling cards for the rest of your Magic life here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys just get those at the local store at GameStoria?
No, they were like a drop online that sold out in a half a day.
I think that's definitely true, and I think even including Delver, things are off balance right now because Ragavan and all this stuff is messed up. But there is an ecosystem happening there. As I mentioned, lands can be tough. The Death Taxes deck can be tough. The Blue Zenith that can be tough for Delver, and these decks have picked up in popularity in order to approach Delver, and now because the Reanimator decks aren't seeing as much respect out of the sideboard, those are picking up. So there is format churn for sure. Yeah. And you see it week to week, and people chalking it up to seeing Delver show up less, that people have sold their Ragavans or whatever, but I think there is answers to that. It's just Delver's a little bit too good and consistent. But nevertheless, I I don't think Legacy is perfectly healthy. I do think it needs a change, but at the same time, there is some interesting stuff going on. The games are still reasonably fun in a lot of ways, and again, there are responses to things. It's not like, as you said, it's not Underworld Breach where you can't stop it. You know,
right.
So
yeah, that's what I was getting at. So I think this is the debut right now of a full text forest on stream. I think this is the first time that's happened.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Very, very exciting. Yeah, these are definitely an abomination, but you know, people can do what they want.
Yeah. I would not have expected it from Dominic actually, because he's all about the artist signed cards. But I guess this is a meme that Dominic got behind.
Yeah, I mean,
basically a meme, right? I mean, or something.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I actually kind of enjoy that it exists. Like, this doesn't directly affect me. I don't have to use it, and if somebody likes it, they get to play it. That's cool. You know,
Yep,
I
agree.
love that. My only problem with all these secret layers and alternate things is that like I can't keep up with all of the different things that are happening. There were like 50 secret layers this year or something. I literally can't keep up with this stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty enfranchised. Like, I care about Magic. I think about Magic a lot. But that's my only complaint. You know, if it's just an alternate thing that somebody can get if they like, cool, great, more power.
Yep. Hello to everyone saying hello in chat. Hello, Pokimoki. Hello, Past Daddy. And hello, Clutch Flower again. So Grafdigger's Cage is cool. Not as mind-blowing as it is against Reanimator, but it stops the Reclaimers and all that. No, it doesn't stop Reclaimer, sorry. But it stops Green Sun Zenith. Yeah.
Yeah, it came a little late to the party here because the Green Sun already found the Arbor. But
yeah.
Certainly it has some impact here.
Yep.
I don't know. I will say I don't think it has enough impact to warrant sideboarding in. I think it's a little bit too low impact overall, because you can just tutor a card and shut down the Green Sun later. But nevertheless, there is value to having it in play.
Sometimes, I mean, depending on the matchup, and I don't know how Sean feels this matchup is for his deck, but sometimes you're just like, anything that disrupts anything, I'm bringing it in if you feel like, you know, it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, for sure. You know, honestly, I think that used to... I've had this conversation with people, like, especially when you play against decks like Sheik and Show, and this is just coming from the Delver's perspective, where, you know, you just kind of want to bring in all of your disruptive cards and get at all of your dead cards in the matchup. So people side out all their Lightning Bolts a lot and bring in cards like Surgical. And I actually think it's a lot better in most situations to just kind of leave your Lightning Bolt in that situation, because then your pressure becomes a form of disruption. And now you can like turn yourself into enough of an aggressive deck where now your plan A is a little bit more bolstered, as opposed to having a card like Surgical, which at the end of the day doesn't do that much, you know, when it comes to it. So I definitely think people overutilize that logic, where it's like, oh, this is marginally disruptive and it's better than something that ostensibly doesn't do anything. But I think sometimes, you know, it can be difficult to evaluate that if you don't have a good sense of your plan, for sure.
Yeah. You know, it reminds me of there was a GP. I mean, this is years ago at this point. I can't even think of it. There were the two pro players playing in a top 8 of a Legacy GP, and it was Lands versus, I think, Delver. And the Delver player sided in Flusterstorm and ended up winning a game. And it was just like, Flusterstorm's not a card, you sideboard it in. And then I remember seeing afterwards, and again, unfortunately, I can't remember who this was, but they were basically like, every card that disrupts anything, I sideboarded it in, and it worked. And but yeah, there's also, like you're saying, sometimes a card like Lightning Bolt, the pressure is more important, and you got to gauge that.
For sure. But, and I think that really illustrates like how complicated the topic can be when you really get into the nuance of it, because Flusterstorm, it doesn't look that good, but it actually fits into like how the game's going to play out, because you're going to wasteland them a reasonable amount of time when they have crop rotation up. So you can actually fuse your plan around that and get them to walk into your Flusterstorm a little bit more, and thus it kind of completes the full picture. So it's more like understanding what your, because maybe a surgical is better than lightning bolt if your plan is specifically, you know, built around that. But it's just like understanding how all your cards fit into the puzzle.
Yeah.
That is a lot, and that player has clearly understood that. You know, bringing in Flusterstorm against a deck that has, you know, 92 lands in it or whatever.
yeah, and it ended up winning the game. That just stuck with me. I just remember that. But yeah, that's one of those situations.
Yeah, really cool.
Raced in chat wants to know who Oko'd Rich.
Who else but Oko? Who else?
Oko stopped by earlier.
Yeah, you know, we're buds these days. You know, once you win a PTQ with a card, you're there for life.
Okay, we just saw a Lattice flash on screen, didn't we?
I think. Yep. So
okay.
2 did that with Karn. He has the mana off LED, and he's just going to go for casting it.
Okay.
This looks like it's probably the game, unless there's a Force of Vigor in the Cloudpost player's hand. But the situation looks very strong.
But Force of Vigor. So I learned this the hard way a couple of weeks ago. Force of Vigor has to be fired off before Lattice resolves, right?
So there's a couple of ways to, in general, yes, because it's colorless and now you can't pitch anything to it. And it looks like that's what he's doing here. But I actually don't know how I feel about this specifically right now, because it only costs 4 mana, and the Cloudpost player has 4 mana. So you can actually just float 4 mana before the Karn resolves, then hard cast a Force of Vigor, killing the Karn and the Microsoft Lattice.
Right.
So I think now in this situation, this Force of Vigor might be mistimed, because it would be a lot better to just float the mana of Force of Vigor and get it going. As it stands, it looks like it might just lock out the game here. Because he played it preemptively, killed the pedal and the cage, I guess, or something in the cage. And now there's nothing that the player can do. That should be the game.
The Legacy Pit, thank you for the raid. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Not really sure what just happened, but we're trying to figure it out.
I think they didn't really think about using Force of Vigor for its alternate mode of casting it for 4 mana. If they had that on the mind, they would have just floated the mana, let it resolve, and then what you can do, because Microsoft Lattice is in play, is you don't have to target the Microsoft Lattice. You can target the Karn, which breaks up the loop. So you can go after Karn plus land, even, and start attacking them, especially when you have a second one in hand, which it seemed like he did. So you can just go Force of Vigor, destroy Karn Tundra, untap, destroy your other 2 lands, and then now you've just kind of locked up the game with the Force of Vigor. So I think that could have gone significantly better if he was thinking about floating the mana and using the alternate mode. Yeah, I think it would. I'm actually kind of excited for it. Like, I think they could just like do something absurd that's going to ruin Magic, but I don't think that's the case. I think there will be something fun, and I think those kind of cards should just be legal in Commander anyway, because people can play it in Commander whenever they want, so you might as well just make it legal. For sure.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, Commander, you could do whatever you want anyway, I guess. But I watched their presentation or whatever about Unfinity, and they were talking about how in Forgotten Realms they had dice rolling, and like a bunch of unmechanics are now Magic mechanics. Yeah, and like some of the old uncards look pretty like normal now. Like I can't think of another word, but they're like the mechanics are not that goofy.
So totally agreed. We'll, and I think I don't really have that much of a qualm about the flavor. Like at first it was the whole. It's definitely along the lines of the whole like what's it called, Walking Dead thing and the Lord of the Rings stuff that's coming up. It's jarring at first, just like Modern Horizons 1 was jarring at first for me. But what? It's fine. The game can evolve and change, and I don't think occasionally playing against a Gandalf or like a clown wizard or whatever, it's not going to ruin Magic, and it's not going to dampen my experience. It's just like, okay, this is what we're here with. So
Yeah, the way I see it too, and it matches up with what you were saying a moment ago. Like, oh, there's that Graph Digger's cage again.
yeah, yeah.
Like other people are gonna like stuff that I don't like. And I just saw today there was like a post on Instagram or something that Post Malone is now gonna host Friday Night Magics for a year or something like that. And we got Street Fighter cards coming out in Fortnite. If more people play Magic, great. Like I just want more people to play. I want my friends that don't play Magic to be like, all right, I'll finally check out this game.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I think, and I say this, with love. I think Legacy players can be very restrictive in like that kind of way too.
Yeah,
it's just like, because a lot of people love this because it's like the old history of Magic and it's the nostalgia and all that stuff. But it's like, Magic can take a new direction and it's still going to be Magic and it's still going to be great. And I think it's all cool. I don't think when they printed the Walking Dead cards, they ruined Magic. I don't think that had any impact on Magic's like overall like gameplay and health and stuff like that. So or negative impact at least.
I live like down the block too from a junior high school or high school. I'm not even sure, but I mean, I would love it if I saw those kids walking around looking at Magic cards, like because I see them often. They're just getting out of school or whatever. Like if I saw them walking by, looking at their Fortnite Magic cards and jamming games with each other at the park, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah, totally. It's so interesting because like part of the reason I got into Magic, part of the reason a lot of people got into Magic is because the flavors are alluring, right? You see the flavor and you're like, this is cool. The D&D kind of stuff, demons, dragons, all that stuff. It's just fun. It's cool. Yeah. And I think if some flavor of that is going to be Street Fighter or Fortnite, it's like, fuck it, like, seriously. Like, it's cool. The cards will be fun. And, it's not going to change the strategic element of Magic. In fact, it's probably just going to deepen it because now they're exploring new territory. And, that's kind of the perspective I'm taking these days. It's like, let Magic explore its new areas. Plus, we're playing Legacy. How many of these cards actually make it into the format? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, everything's all doom and gloom, but then it's like one card makes it in, maybe, and then somebody plays it for a week and it's horrible, and they take it out,
Yeah.
And
like
even
Glenn.
Yeah, exactly. And if they put in like 6 cards that break Legacy, who cares? Just the format's great. It's not going to make the format like less great, like fundamentally. So
also they're going to not replace. They're going to reskin the cards with Magic people or Magic arts or whatever. Yeah. So you'll have a Dominaria version or whatever.
Yep, for sure. So,
yeah.
Okay, regarding the game, I mean, things have developed, but like it's honestly kind of like linear. Like the Psy from the Bomberman player made a couple of tokens, but hadn't done anything too proactive. The Force of Vigor took out the Azoria Signet in the Graph Digger's cage, and then a Primetime came down. I mean, this is kind of exactly what we talked about when we were talking about the matchup. It's very linear with minimal interaction, but the post board for Cloudpost is pretty effective. But that being said, even without the Force of Vigor, this would still probably be pretty tough because they just were able to do their thing, and we haven't seen a fast Bomberman start yet.
No.
And yeah, even the cage clearly didn't do anything because the Containment Priest is coming down in the turn, which, is low impact. I kind of feel like the Bomberman player is playing the wrong game, if I'm honest. Like, in terms of game plan. I think, like...
They should be trying to turbo Bomberman?
Exactly. I think that would be much more effective, even in the face of Force Vigor, because you just can't grind it down. Containment Priest doesn't do anything in the matchup. You're not actually stopping them.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, still, there's still game to play here. They could. The game's not over on the spot, and a 2020 is not going to do it straight up.
Nope. And the Bomberman player is 2-0, so they've managed to find a way twice.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And I think more to that point, it's just like there's so many different weird things that can do. They kind of do. They're a little light on resources, which is a little bit problematic, but they can at least stop the Titan for return, although that might not be super effective. But I guess we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah. I mean, we're open deck list now too, but in matchups like this, in paper, without open deck list, sometimes even at high level tournaments, you can catch people with sideboard cards that. I mean, Containment Priest is a stretch, but maybe the opponent makes a play that the game depends on that Containment Priest can get there with, and this Bomberman player knows that that's a possibility. Let's say
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's because the game plan also goes like both directions, right? Where it's like how is your opponent going to like strategize against you, and like how is the game actually going to play out? And as you know, I've never seen this matchup play out. It's pretty likely that the players haven't really been in this situation too many times. So even forming that game plan, like you're kind of doing it on the fly. A lot of like, you know, I don't know how common any of this Bomberman Cloudpost situation is.
Probably not that common. We see a Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale near mint on the table now.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
very high quality.
Yeah, I think that's the OG English.
Oh yeah,
Legends version.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly is legendary.
That's a funny looking card. In a great way.
Oh yeah, I totally agreed.
I like those proxy cards, by the way.
I was just thinking that. I think that was actually a pretty cool addition. I picked up a couple of them because I was like, you know, I'm just gonna proxy stuff.
Yeah.
So
I got a
really
stack
like
of them now. I'm
Yeah.
just waiting. I've decided I don't put double face cards in sleeves anymore. I use those and I put them in clear sleeves in the side.
I like it.
That's my new way.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think I'm gonna probably start working towards that as well. I think it's just like it's a lot cleaner, you know. You don't have to take out
I
the
hate
sleeve,
pulling
and
the
you don't
card
have to
out of
mess
the
with.
sleeve. I always hated that.
And you don't have to mess with like, you know, things like occasionally going awry, you know, where like, oh, they can see through my sleeves or whatever. So
yeah.
And it looks like with the Mirage entering the battlefield, that's going to end the match. So Cloudpost wins it 2-1.
Yeah.